Move this a little forward. David Buchanan. Hi, David. And my boy Philip. Hi, Philip. How are you, Phil? My buddy. So, just to give you guys a little quick heads up, give you a couple seconds. Matt Darche is actually driving, so this will. Thanks, Phil. I am great. Thank you for asking. Thank you, Phil, for asking. No one ever asked. And my mom's on, so we're good to go now. I think mom's on. Dave Buchanan's on. So Matt's actually driving right now. He's gonna be getting in his car any minute. So he just was at practice, bringing his son to practice in Tampa Bay, and just as bringing his son to practice, he gets a call. He called me before. The call is from Julien Brisebois, the general manager of the team, and he's like, "Hey, my son practices after you. Would it be cool if I brought the Stanley Cup by to, your son can show his team?" So I'm like, "Yeah." Matt's like, "Fine." So Matt's a little delayed, so he'll be jumping on any second. So what's good about Matt not jumping on, there's lots of things that we could talk about. We got to break down the Habs signings, which we'll try and get to. Maybe Matt can get to it a little and explain about how the craziness is going on in this COVID world right now of, well, I guess free agency. But I'll give Matt some love prior to him jumping on, so it just makes me feel better of not having to say it to their face. I hate pumping guys' tires when they're listening. So, and he did jump on already, which is not kind of what I was hoping for, but I was hoping to blow smoke up his before he jumped on. So I'll do it with him connecting in. He's in the car. Matt.
Yeah, and I almost ran over someone.
It's okay. You're good. I was actually about to. I thought you were going to be a little late, so I had like 5 minutes to kind of build you up a little. So Matt's in the car. As I just said, he was bringing us. Which son was it?
Ben.
Ben. Hey, Ben. Ben, are you the one that set your dad up on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, let me just quickly give people a heads up. Matt Darche, crazy story. 4 years university. Actually went to McGill University as a football player. We have like Canadian scholarships in Canada, which is boosted Sud more or less. And they say, hey, you can also play hockey. So the hockey thing kind of worked out. While he was playing football there, he's linebacker and playing a little long snapper. But he was on the depth chart of long snapper because the long snapper ahead of him was his brother, who would go on to play for Seattle Seahawks and the KC Chiefs. And just this year, or last couple of years, he went back after his career ended, 4 years university, became a doctor, and now he's the team doctor for the Kansas City Chiefs and just won a Super Bowl. Matt went on, trying not to get outdone. Matt went on after his 4 years in McGill. In his last year, he won the student athlete pretty much. How nerdy were you? Like, if you think about it, you're playing football and hockey, and you still had time to win the nerd award. Like, how did that happen?
Well, if you ask my wife, she says I'm great at bullshitting my way through exams.
That's good. Well, we're going to talk about how you're great at bullshitting through a lot because you're Stanley Cup champ in hockey operations for the Tampa Bay Lightning after working in transport and me giving you every answer in RDS. Anyways, Darche goes on 4 years university, CIS student athlete, and goes on the next year to sign with the Blue Jackets, San Jose Sharks, Tampa Bay, Preds, and most success, I thought so, my own words, with the Habs. We worked together at RDS, and every day at RDS, he'd come and he'd be like, PJ, I don't know the answers to what they're asking me. I'm like, don't worry, Darche, I'll take care of you. And I did, and I gave him every answer. And, a couple months go by, years go by, and he's always saying, man, thanks for helping me. I didn't know what this power play thing is. And I'm like, hey, don't worry, bud, I'm here for you. Anyways, they were in French. After every show, he'd be texting. Little did I know, Julien Brisebois was texting him and asking him for those exact same answers, and he explained them, and he goes from RDS and me giving him every answer to hockey ops genius now at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Thanks for doing this, bud. So tell them where you're coming from.
Well, my son had a practice in Clearwater, not far from the beach, which is always a nice place to be. Then I found out that it's not my day with the cup, but the cup's still in Tampa. It's going back to Montreal probably next week to get engraved. And then Julien Brisebois' son was practicing before, and he just realized that we were practicing right after him because let's just say since the beginning of the year, we haven't been to many practices because we were gone.
Right.
So he texted me. He said the cup is here. I'm having the pictures. So it was actually at another rink before with John Cooper, whose son plays on Vinny LeCavalier's team.
Oh, there's a name.
Then Julian's team did it, and then when practice ended, I would have had time to be home, but the kids had a chance to take their picture with the cup. So now I'm on my way back home, and tomorrow I'm taking it to my other son's practice, so that those are my 17-year-olds, so that they can have their picture taken. So it's pretty cool.
How have you planned what you're thinking of doing with the cup? Like, well, you're going to get it for a day. Is that still the same way it works?
Yeah, but this year is a bit different because we don't know what's going to happen. Like, if it was normal times, I would have taken it probably in July in Montreal with family and friends. Right now, I'm probably going to have it in Tampa because, first of all, you can't have parties in Quebec. You can't even have one person over, so I'm not going to go quarantine in Quebec to have a party with a cup with just my family when I can have it here. So it's going to be in a few weeks. Like, we'll do the players, and we don't even know how much a cup is going to travel yet. Like, the players have had, trust me, they have had their share of fun in Tampa since they won it. I'm sure you guys saw a bunch of videos and pictures of Patty Maroon and Kucherov, and it was awesome. So I don't know yet what I'm going to do, but we thought about maybe taking it to the beach to have a theme. We're in Tampa, so might as well take it to the beach.
What's you look like, I forget the Queen video, Bohemian Rhapsody right now. As you're driving and the lights on, you look like you're in Bohemian Rhapsody right now. So I know how much longer till you're home?
About 10 minutes.
All right.
Actually, my son has a buddy called Renzo in the back.
Hey, Renzo.
But I got to drop him off, but he lives a few blocks over, so.
So I put your son on.
Ben,
what's up?
What's up?
Do you have a chance? How old are you now, Ben? You're
15.
15. So do you have a chance to see your dad play?
Yeah.
What did you think of him as a player?
Front of the net grinder.
Like, limited skill set?
He compared me to Braden Point the other day.
Or Kucherov.
Kucherov? Who are you when you watch Tampa Bay play? Who do you try to emulate your game like? Who do you want to be like?
Braden Point.
Yeah, good. Not a bad. You know what? You can't really go wrong naming any one of those guys. What do you think of your dad winning the Stanley Cup?
What do you think of your dad winning the Stanley Cup?
Oh, it's really fun. I get to lift the cup.
What are you gonna eat out of it? Every kid gets to eat something out. What are you gonna eat out of it?
Poutine.
Yeah, smart man, good man.
Hey, we stay Frenchies, huh?
Yeah, you say you keep the Frenchie. Yeah. Well, so do you have gravy on the poutine? Italian poutine, or how do you?
Traditional gravy and cheese curds.
Maddie, I know I read some articles when you first came out, and a lot of people talked about the sacrifice of the 3 months. How was it?
You know what? It was tough. I think it was tougher on the players than us because it was myself, Julien, and two other assistant GM that you probably played against, Jamie Pusher and Stacey Roos. The four of us were there, and you probably fought Jamie Pusher before. Two tough guys.
Pusher one night, I got to tell you a story. So Jamie Pusher one night, I didn't really know much. I'm coming out of Canadian University, and I end up having to fight Jamie Pusher. I don't know how the fights kind of start. You know, they just kind of they start. Back then, it was way different, right? So anyways, Jamie Pusher and I, he was in Columbus, I think, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, I think there's a couple guys fighting, and Jamie Pusher grabs my arms, and he doesn't really throw any punches, but he squeezed my arms numb. Just squeezed my arms numb where I couldn't do anything. And I'm just like, I'm over. End this. Get me someone else. I'll take the weaker guys. Anyway, so Jamie Pusher.
Jamie Pusher is probably one of our. He's in charge of our pro scouting. He's an unbelievable scout. His knowledge of players in the league is unbelievable. And he's a great guy. He's a funny guy. So, the four of us, we watched every single game that we were able to watch. So we actually watched 76 hockey games. So at the beginning, when there was 3 games a day, we'd be at the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto at 11 a.m. We watch at noon, the 4, the 8 o'clock game. So for us on days off, days were going by fast. The players, I think what they found hard at times, and like I said, nobody feels bad for them. We were in 5-star hotels, and In Toronto, we had the stadium we could walk to. We had tennis courts. We had a great setup. But on days off, especially when we beat Boston, we waited 6-7 days before playing the Islanders. That's when the guys found it long because there's nothing you can do. I mean, yeah, the guys will play pickleball. They'll play a bit. They'll go toss a football at the football stadium. But at the end of the day, you're in a hotel, and as much as the longer it was, the tougher it was. But the longer it was, the easier it was because you were getting closer to your goal.
So I heard Kate Burness today on TSN. She had Chris Bosch on. Are you watching The Road, by the way?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I had Kate Burness had on TSN. They had Chris Bosch on, and she asked, which a lot of people, and I have to admit, when it first started, it was the way the Canadians got in as a 24th place team, and they end up beating Pittsburgh in the first round, and you're like, it just didn't seem right. Obviously, as it continued, it was obviously a lot different. But they asked, same thing with basketball and a couple of the other sports, where they asked him about, what about an asterisk potentially beside, the NBA championship? And he went on to say that he thought this one was much harder, and this one was there should be an asterisk, but to talk about how much harder it was. What do you think about that?
For sure, because it's on top of the usual. First of all, everybody started healthy for the most part. So there's nobody has an advantage. Nobody has a home ice advantage because you're playing in a market like Montreal compared to another market where it's not as big, makes a big difference playing at home. And it's the mental grind on the guys. Like it's tough. You saw Tuukka Rask left, and some guys found it hard. Like I said, I don't want people to think, oh, poor players, because it's going to be like if people always say, oh, but the money they made, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're still a human being.
Right.
You're away from family. Like some guys miss the birth of their kids. Some miss birthdays. Some miss the first steps. Blake Coleman, his daughter was born 2 months before we left. So he basically, half her life, he wasn't with her in a way, So there's still, that doesn't matter how much money you make. You're still a human being. So I think it was a grind. But at the same time, the team was always together. So it got the guys close. And I think that we were one of the good teams on the ice, and I think mentally we were one of the strongest teams, and that's why we won, because our guys stayed on course, they stayed focused, and we got the job done. We took a lead 3-1 in every single series, which I'm so in awe of the guys, the way they played. We never lost 2 games in a row, which is unbelievable, and that's all to the players. That's nothing to do with us. So I think the guys, the way
hold on. You don't think the hockey ops guy gets any credit for that?
No, we do in a way, but at the end of the day, it's funny because I was freaking out on the ice with the cup. I was FaceTiming when Gary Bettman's giving us the cup and we're all around him. I'm on FaceTime with my wife and my kids. You get choked up because, all the sacrifices they made in the last year. But the whole time I'm thinking, wow, this is awesome. It must be even more awesome as a player. Because you're the one bleeding and sweating. And like I said, I'm extremely excited and grateful, and I think it was awesome. But as a player, to me, it's a notch ahead.
Did you get, when you're watching the games and I'm a fan now, I guess, as much as we work and analyst and critique the games, and it's different where you now have the relationship with the team, and it's different from when we were on the ice. How do you compare it? How much are you into the games when you can't really control them? Like, you're in them, but you can't control them.
I've never been as nervous watching games.
Yeah.
I was exhausted. The 5 overtime game, I was exhausted after the game. Because you have.
I was too, because I was up trying to watch it.
You know what? I almost feel like when you watch your kids play in a way.
Yeah.
Like my son who's with me in the car, he won the Quebec Dewey tournament. I was coaching in the finals. Yes, it's not the Stanley Cup, but it's almost like you have no control. You're nervous, and my vested interest now is because that's a team we built. My vested interest in those games because my son's playing. So it's so much more nerve-wracking. And even I'll tell you a good story. In the finals, the last game, we're up 2-0, and we're still nervous at the end. They're making their push. Of course, they're down 2-0. They're making a push. And usually when you win a series, the GM of the other team comes in your suite. He shakes your hand and he says, congrats. So there's a whistle with about 40 seconds left in our zone. I turn around, Jim Neal walks in our zone, shaking our in our lows, shaking our hands, saying congrats. And there's still 40 seconds left in the game, and that's not the first time I kind of breathe out. I was like, oh, okay, I think we won it.
Was there a moment that stood out?
Well, you know what? That's 5 overtime game. I keep telling people, PJ, how hard it is to win a cup, because I felt like we were fairly lucky. Yeah, we missed Stammer, but we had Point that missed a few games, but we were fairly healthy. We played great, but it's so hard. It took every ounce of us. When you think of it, all right, last year everybody knows what happened. We win 62 games. I wasn't there. Then we got swept in the first round by Columbus. The first game of that series, we played an awesome game. We outshot them, I think, 80-something to 40-something, or 50-something, whatever. We outplayed them in the overtime. The scoring chances at the end of the game were 40-20 for us. What if we lose that one? Does it screw up or the mental part of it, saying, these bastards, again, like, we've played a great game. We still can't beat them. Maybe it changes the whole playoffs. You never know, so we won this one, then we lose game 1 to Boston. What happens second game? We go to overtime, we won it. What if we lose that one? There's a lot of what ifs in the playoffs, so you have to be good, you have to be lucky in the playoffs.
You said Stammer. You said you have to be lucky. I know. I had the opportunity of winning the Calder Cup, and it's a 2-month grind of, it's almost stupidity. Like, Super Bowl's a couple weeks, baseball's baseball, and I don't want to disrespect it, but comparing it to the physical grind of playing hockey with the physical aspect in it. NBA I just watched, as I mentioned it to you, but
say about it, Renzo. I just dropped him off.
Renzo, is he gone?
I'm right here.
Hey, okay. Did you ever see Matt play, or Mr. Darche play?
At a tournament, between games, we were looking at some of his highlights. We watching some of his
found the
big
tape
hits.
of his highlights?
Yeah, we saw some of his big hits in the corners.
Big hits.
Big hits.
See, PJ never wanted to fight me. My gloves, they came with Velcro. I don't know. They wouldn't fall.
I wasn't. I was stuck on the bench, so I couldn't. I was the best fighter from the bench. Anyways, good luck, kid. Keep working.
Thank you. You have a good
Cheers.
one, Mr. Darche.
Yeah,
Enjoy the cup in Tampa and that
Yeah.
weather that you guys have. I hope it gets cold this winter. Anyways, I was saying,
right now.
It's what?
It's 27 right now.
Shut up.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, but you're driving. I can have a drink right now. You gotta bring your kid home, and I don't even want to see I'm sure you have a pool. I don't even want to hear about your pool.
Yeah, I'll be
I don't wanna
sitting
hear
by the
about it.
pool in about 3 minutes. Actually, Julian lives 2 houses from here. So
I don't wanna
Kucherov
hear
is about a block away. Actually, we'll drive in front of Kucherov's house on my way home.
Yeah, show all the crazies where's Kucherov's house. So, hey, so for me, the moment that stood out for me, like when I'm gonna look back, the 5 overtime, because there were some amazing moments. I think Hedman's always been amazing, but he's been good. I think he was great, like a whole nother level of seeing a big man that big and really watching him every day for 2 months. Like when we're in Montreal, we were watching the Canadians. I watched the Bruins. I watched the Leafs. I watched a little bit more Canadian teams, and I get the odd game that I watch, but watching a player play every second night for a couple of months. Hedman's, Kucherov, Hedman, Point, Platt, the depth that you guys have was amazing. But for me, a moment that stood out is Stamkos playing 5 shifts and getting that 1 goal.
Yeah, but
just
to go back on Hedman, because I honestly think he's the best defenseman in the league. To be 6'6", to skate like that.
That's what I mean. Crazy.
To play the minutes like that. And you know what's awesome too? He's an outstanding human being.
Yeah.
Sometimes some guys are good, but they're a bit, excuse my language, they're a bit assholes. This guy is an unbelievable person. Even my son will tell you at the Christmas party last year, he's chatting with them. He's asking them about their hockey. Like honestly, like to watch him play, like I always knew he was good, but watch him all year, and in the playoffs, he took a step. I don't know if you remember, too, in the round robin against Philly when he left with an ankle injury.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, we almost shat our pants.
Yeah.
Because you can't replace those kind of minutes. Like,
no. And those quality. You can replace the minutes, but they're quality minutes.
He took it. Like, trust me, Braden Point deserved a Conn Smythe also, but Hedman deserved it. Like, that's why the reason we won too. I was texting with like my friend Lappy, Yann Perrier, that you know well, and guys like
By
that.
the way, for those that don't, Yann Perrier is one of the greatest humans on the earth as well. What a great person.
And these guys, even PK texted me, and I talked to Patch, and they all said, "Your big boys were awesome." When you think of it, Edmund won the Conn Smythe; he deserved it. If Brandon Point would have won the Conn Smythe, you can say, you know what, he deserved it. If Kucherov, there's only 2 players that had more assists in one playoff season.
Right.
Their names are Gretzky and Lemieux.
Yeah, they're okay. Those guys, I think, if I remember correctly.
Vasilevsky could have won it. You would have said, yeah, I did. So we have 4 guys that if they would have won it, you could say, you know what, they deserve it. So, like I said, it's unbelievable what these guys did.
What do you guys? We're getting out of the car.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to take 2 minutes and reset and want to get back on?
Well, no, I'm gonna walk in, turn on my lights, and by the pool. I'm sweating right now because it's hot.
Yeah, no. It's the good news is you've been giving us the under nose look the entire time. I noticed you trim, you take care of that stuff. Well, yeah, keep it away from the head. Actually, probably better. Keep it under the nose. Keep it under the nose.
I lost my double chin too.
Yeah, do you work out more there?
I lost 30 pounds since I'm here.
Weather?
Well, it's easier when, first of all, I have a gym in my office that I can train every day, and it's nice out every night. And then Julia, I don't drink. Julian doesn't drink, so.
What?
Yeah, I don't drink much.
And I'm sorry to tell everyone that this is going to be canceled right now, and this show is over.
Oh, wait. Oh.
That's ass.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Man. If Brisebois knew I was giving you all the answers, I wouldn't be talking into my phone in my basement with my kids outside over there, play coloring book. I'd be in a fancy place with my own pool, and Julien living a couple days doors over, and Cooch, I have a nice dog. I have 2 dogs, actually. I can't complain. Anyways,
Julian and Cooch's houses are about mine goes twice into their house, but it's okay.
You're actually in Julian's pool house.
Yeah.
Okay, so I texted you the other night, and one of the things, it was we were talking. So when Stanley Cup, you lifted the Stanley Cup, and you go from texting Stanley Cup to, I think it's draft day to UFA day within a week, pretty much. And I texted you the other night. You were actually that boy, Padella. Yeah, I don't drink much, but talking to PJ makes me want to drink.
Exactly.
So you go from sitting at home you go from winning the cup in a bubble for 6 months, and the article I saw a great picture of your family, and then coming back, and you're back to work right away.
That's what happens in this business, and you know what? We were a week shorter than usual because usually you have 2 weeks. If you win the cup, you have a couple of weeks before the draft. Now we had a week, almost day to day. Then free agency, and obviously everybody knows what's going on this year. That's the cap stayed at 81.5. So we have our work cut out for us. So we have a plan. We had the draft, and everybody said, "Oh, are you happy with your draft?" Everybody's happy with their draft. You'll find out, a few years down the line. So
explain to everyone, because for those that don't know, he's the hockey operation. So he deals with players on a certain level, but organizing and following the cap on a daily basis. And in a COVID world right now, some teams, I guess, have self-imposed caps, and other teams go to the cap. But how, now that your teams aren't making money, how is this affecting your job and people's jobs moving forward?
We're very fortunate. I think we have one, if not the best owner in sport. And I know every team says that. What Mr. Vinick here has done is truly...
Congrats, champ, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Cheers. Salute.
Cheers.
First of all, Mr. Vinick, yes, the organization makes no money right now. He's maintained everybody. We're very fortunate with that. Even what he's done, since he bought this team, I don't know if people know, but every single game at home, he gives $50,000 to charity. There's a local charity people, like send applications. When there was a lockout in 2012, every night there was a scheduled game. He gave his $50,000. He's up to $24 million that he gave of his own money during the playoffs, during the pandemic. Before we knew we were starting, he gave a lot of money to relief effort, to food banks here. Like we're talking the million. In the finals, I think he pledged about $1 million to charities during the finals. Throughout the playoffs, he gave money. So, and having said that, for our jobs, he says what you need to win and what you need to be. He wants us to be perennial contenders. So
right.
He said,
and you have been for a few years.
This team has been to the conference final 4 times out of 6 years. And one of those 2 years that they haven't been to the finals, the year they won 62 games.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty
I mean, I don't want to say anything, but they got the guy that I've been giving answers to the entire time, and now it's just the one thing. So really, I turned Tampa over the top.
But
so I don't want to take full credit, but if Julien's thinking of throwing some more money around, and I don't need a big pool, just tell them I got 4 kids. We can play 2-on-2 water polo. I don't care. I don't need a big pool. But Stephanie Cox, a good friend of ours, says cheers to you as well. A lot of your
my friend from Delmar.
Yep. So congrats.
But no, like honestly, like speaking of great owners, I had unbelievable owners at Delmar too. They treated me like their son. Honestly, like I've been very fortunate when I retired to work for them. They've treated me like gold. So it was tough for me to tell them I was leaving because that's the only reason I would leave is to go back in hockey. And I got the opportunity, and they were the way they handled it, and they were so excited for me, and they've been texting me throughout the playoffs. I've been texting them, so they've been unbelievable. But Mr. Vinnick here too, he gives us what we need to win. And Julien's very humble. He was nominated for GM of the year. He keeps saying, "Oh, it's you guys too." Yeah, but at the end of the day, Julien, you're the one pulling the trigger on this. Yeah, we give you our recommendation. I think a big difference of us winning is how Julien dealt with the pandemic. When it started, first of all, it helps when you're in Tampa in March when things shut down. People want to stay here because it's warm.
Right.
We never had less than 19, 20 guys in town. He called players every week, every single player, every person on the staff. I mean, we'd speak every day because we work together. I speak to him almost more than my wife. But scouts, like communication, his leadership was outstanding during that. I think it's a big reason he kept our guys engaged. He kept our guys, believing we're going to play every single week. And by the end, he would call them every 10 days. But personally, every player, even at one point, I told him, I can help you with calls, Julien. And say, yeah, but I think the guys, they want to, and he's right, they want to hear from him. He's the boss. So, which was, I think he'll downplay it, but he did an unbelievable job. And even those, what's gratifying for us, you're talking about management is, and trust me, part of it is luck. But every move we've made this year turned out good. Starting with Patty Maroon, those type of guys you need on your team too. Like, he made our guys feel bigger. He's an awesome locker room guy. Kevin Shattenkirk came with a chip on his shoulder, which he's an unbelievable locker room guy too. Outstanding guy. Like I loved Shaddy. It's too bad he left, but I understand it. And then our trade deadline, Coleman. I don't think we win the cup without Blake Coleman and Barclay Goodrow. That line with Yanni Gourde was probably our most consistent line throughout the playoffs. So, yeah, part of it is luck, but our moves panned out, which you got to be lucky for that. So, that's why I think Julien did an unbelievable job. Yeah, we're part of it. We help him. But at the end of the day, if those moves don't work out, we gave first-round picks for these guys. Nobody's saying Mathieu Darche did this. It's Julien Brisebois. So he deserves everything that happened.
A quick little shout out. Actually, Max mentioned Delmar. Matt and I were the 2 guys, ex-hockey players working for transport companies in Montreal. So we'd meet each other and give us. I'm at Journey Freight International. Matt was at Delmar, and everywhere we'd go, we'd be at work. We give each other heck. And Matt's gone, so I'm still doing that in Montreal. But those people are, you took that experience to this job. How did he see you being able to do this? And this is going to be of a compliment to him because I think in business, the most important thing is not about it. It's about surrounding yourself with the right people. It's not always the best person. It's the right people. You got to surround yourself with the right person. And for him to have a vision to think that you, despite me giving you every answer, would make you successful and the team successful, kudos on him. But why, A, why did he take the risk on you? And B, did you think you can do it?
Well, aside from being very good looking.
Thank you, me?
Well,
Yeah.
I met Julien when I signed in Montreal. He was the assistant GM in charge of Hamilton. So I was signed initially to play in Hamilton. I ended up being in Montreal my last 2 years. We were the same age. He's actually 2 months younger than me. We stayed friends. Once every summer, we'd go to dinner with our wives. We love to talk hockey. So during the year, every month or so, we'd get on the phone and we'd stay an hour on the phone just talking hockey.
Sure.
And we never actually mentioned it directly, And then when he took over for Steve Yzerman, he called me in the morning because he knew me. People in Montreal knew that I was friends with him. So once the news comes out, he wanted me to be aware. And he didn't really bring it up there. He just said he's not replacing himself for now because it was in September, so all the work was done. And then that year in April, they played Montreal. And he texts me and he goes, "Hey, can you come for breakfast tomorrow at the Ritz in Montreal?" So I knew there was something.
The Ritz.
Yeah.
Did he say bring your credit card, or did he say it's on me?
No, trust me, he's more than generous.
Okay, because the Ritz, I'd fake an injury.
He never lets me pay for a meal too. My arms, my alligator arms, they have a hard time reaching my wallet. But
yeah, no, I suffer from it.
So I sat with him at breakfast. I knew he would talk to me about something. He knew I had a great setup with Delmar and like the Cutler brothers, Rob and Paul and Mike Wagan, the owners. Like they were great, and he told me about the situation and he's looking to replace himself. Not exactly the same role he had, but somewhat. If I wanted to come on board, so he said take time to think about it, and he actually flew me and my family down to Tampa. Game 2 of the playoffs last year to come and see houses, schools before we make our decision. And my boys were 14 and 16 there. So it's a big move.
That's a big move.
And my wife had a job in Montreal with Rio Tinto. And she's the one at the end of the day. She said, Matt, first of all, she loves Florida. And she said, she's from Montreal. We met at McGill. And she said, you always wanted to work in hockey. This is your last chance. If you say no to that, like I'm all in, like go. So it wasn't easy for the boys. And then I decided to come on board and listen. I'm very you won your first year, yeah, but I came into a pretty good team, like that they've been building for 10 years. So it was too good an opportunity to pass. To be and I'm with Julien in every decision he makes. I'm very fortunate that he involves me in every decision he makes, from contract negotiation to roster to business side. Like honestly, I couldn't ask for a better first year, and then I just decided to jump. So
you're doing it now, and how does COVID now, so you're
just one thing, PJ, there's just one last thing on Julien that's pretty cool. After I accepted the job and I told the people at Delmar, he asked me, he said, can you give me the Cutlers and Wagan's number? And he called them to say, sorry, not sorry. I took Matt, and what you taught him in the last 5-6 years is
6 years. Yeah,
I thought it was a very classy move of him. Like he has no link to these guys, but he actually called the owners at Delmar to thank them for. Listen, they did part of my training for this job, so I thought it was very classy.
Tell him I'll give him Brian DeFilippo's number at Journey. I'll give it to anyone right now if that's going to help me get a pool in Florida. And Brian, I'm sorry, but if I can get Julien Brisebois to call you and move me to Florida for a little while, I'm willing to make that sacrifice. And my kids, they don't really have to come with me right now. It's kind of like I'm kind of past that.
They want you to leave.
A couple things. A couple questions. I always throw and ask a couple questions. First of all, I played ball hockey with them, with the Jerky Boys, and you played football with them at McGill. Says hello. Francis Lewis asked a question, and I don't want to make it wrong, but it's an honest question. Is a GM in your future role? Now that you've got a taste of it, where do you see this going to?
Oh, no, listen, I have a lot to learn still. If it gets to that, great. Obviously anybody in life, you want to move up. Julien, when he was assistant GM at one point, you know, like he wanted to become a GM. Is it something I'd like to? Yeah, down the line, but there's no, like, I'm not there, oh, I want to be a GM. Like, I have to learn. I felt I learned a lot this year. I still have to learn. I'm in an awesome situation. Like, yes, but I'm not even thinking about it. You know, like, it's, things happen for a reason. I've always been like that, you know, like in hockey and business, after things happen for a reason. And if I'm here for 10, 15 years with Julian, I'd be very happy. Hopefully we get a few more rings. Actually, my son already told me who's going to inherit the ring when you pass away, so I better win a second one to make sure you
need a second one. So another question, just quickly. Alan Timino, I just can I bring it back down? Yeah,
I see maybe Laurentian girl, Caroline Dabat. That's the
maybe future GM of the Habs. Maybe future, like, so that's something. Or and Martilli's Kitchen reached out to him. I look down like this. I'm sorry, people. I'm not paying. I'm trying to write things down. So, Martilli's Kitchen. What was your favorite Habs moment?
My first game, but really that run to the conference final in 2010. You know, when we beat
the Halleck year.
Yeah, when we beat Wash, we beat Pitt. It was an unbelievable feeling. And honestly, my first game in Montreal, I was almost more nervous than my first game in the NHL, because my first game in the NHL was with Columbus in Phoenix. But playing for the Habs, you know, like that summer, I had an offer from the Habs. I was talking to the Rangers because John Tortorella was there. I had him in Tampa. I knew he liked me. So I was like, yeah, maybe to get an opportunity to play up. And then I remember my brother, who's a huge hockey fan, huge Habs fan. He knows the history of the Canadiens more than me. He said, Matt, if you sign Montreal, you play one game, you're forever a Hab. You know what? Yeah, good. And Guy was being the coach in Hamilton. I've known Guy since I'm 13. So, you know what? I'll go in my first game when I got called up. I remember like sitting, and even at my third year, every now and then during warm-up, you're skating and you look down at the puck and you see the Habs logo. And even like it never got old. And listening to Michel Lacroix when you go on and accueillons le Canadien is.
I couldn't play. I'm not gonna lie. I was too. I some of my friends know this. I was really too nervous. Like I played with some great players in some great cities. And one of the reasons was I was unrestricted 1 year and had a few other options, and some that were better, financially better. One was Buffalo, and I was going to ride shotgun with Rob Ray, and I think it was Barnaby at the time. It would have been like, I wouldn't have to do much.
I just, you know, the third toughest guy.
Yeah. I just go get him, guys. Go get him. But I just ended up. It's hard to turn down the Montreal thing, and it just. I look back at my career, and the one thing that I tell everyone, I wish it falls on me a little bit, because I wish I was better in Montreal. Like, I really wish I was better for my family, for my friends, and everyone, that I was better in Montreal. And it just I looked up and like I'm getting sweaty hands, thinking like I was nervous all the time.
I'm getting sweaty hands too, but it's because it's 28 degrees here.
Yeah, you're an ass. You're just an ass. I get up and I knew everyone, like so many people in the stands, and you play once every 15 minutes, and it's like you can't go on and have a good shift where, it's just nothing's rolling, teams losing, and it just, things didn't go well. So I wish that kind of would have went better. I have another question, Maddie. Where'd it go? I have another question I wanted to ask you. From Marcotte. Where is it? Oh yeah, Bernie Marcotte. Sorry, I was writing this down as you guys were talking.
Right.
How much of a factor is maintaining it? Because you mentioned this before about your trade deadline, and for the first time, your team kind of changed up parts of it to go in a different direction. But anyways, the question is, how much of a factor is maintaining team culture versus marginalizing, or more or less going by the money, the dollar signs?
Well, it's the organization culture, honestly. Like this team, if you look, like, what's our structure when we sign contracts? Guys come out of entry level. They take a 3-year bridge deal to make sure we keep our guys. Some guys have taken maybe a little bit less than market to be in a great organization, have a chance to win. Victor, the only guy that didn't need to have a 3-year deal after his entry level was Steven Stamkos, but he had just scored 60 goals. Yeah. There was no comparable in the market.
He's doing okay, eh? He had a pretty pretty good start to his career.
So, like Braden Point last year, like Kucherov did it before, Vasilevsky did it before, and guys end up playing well, and they'll end up getting paid. So the culture here, development, it's about the team. It starts when we draft players. Our player development team has done an outstanding job. You know that Braden Point, when he got drafted, the knock on him was his skating. And he's a pretty
That's probably why I wasn't drafted.
What's that?
That's probably why you and I weren't drafted.
I know.
That's why the knock on him is his skating.
It was when he got and we have our skating coach who's Barb Underhill, who's a former figure skater. She's
Barb's awesome. Great human being too.
Yeah, she's awesome. And Tony Sorelli worked on his skating. Tony Sorelli finished fourth for the Selling Key this year.
Yeah, he's another one that's been
So it's the culture of the organization. You're expected to win. And there's a lot of other organizations in the league that are the same way. Like we're not that special. I think we are special in our own way, but we're not the only one that thinks like that. There's great organization all through the league, but the way I've seen the team, it's my first time management, so it's tough for me to compare from a player to on this side because now you see all the details of it. It's outstanding.
Randy Chevre, who I mentioned before,
my former McGill football teammate. He's got three Grey Cups, I think. Randy.
I'm right here. Randy. Stop. What do you think of Darche's haircut, Randy? Let us know. But Randy asked the question: what ring will be bigger, your Stanley Cup ring or his brother's Super Bowl ring? Let me make the smallest into your face again. So. I quickly gave this earlier. Let me explain the story again for those that missed it. Because Matt jumped on. I thought he'd be stuck in the car. So Matt goes to McGill to play football in Canada. We don't have scholarships like they have in the States. They have kind of like good behavior awards. I went to St. Francis Xavier, and they help you. They help you with some sort of scholarship funds, boosted for whichever way they can kind of help you do it. And in the sporting world, they do try and help you influence what school that you do go to. So Matt ends up going to McGill and with football. But long story short, his brother's on the football team, a bit of a stud, and his brother ends up taking his football career out of McGill, drafted by the Argos, if I remember correctly, but ends up having success in going to the NFL with Seattle Seahawks and eventually the KC Chiefs, and he was a long snapper. So I don't know. You were a long snapper as well. Two things. Actually, let me just finish the story and then come back. He goes. His career finishes. I want to say around 2009. He goes back to be. If I'm wrong, it doesn't matter. But around there, goes back, takes his degree, 4 years of school.
You have to go
KC, doctor, and now he's a doctor of the team. And the team just won, and he got a Super Bowl ring. And when Patrick Mahomes and the stud offense that they have, he might be getting a bunch of them. But anyways, long story short, he got himself a ring. Now, here comes baby brother. Baby brother just goes and wins a cup with Tampa Bay.
I told him, hold my beer. I'll get one too.
Yeah. So first of all, what's his ring like? And are you involved in the designing of the rings?
No, that will be Mrs.
Because tell Julien I can design rings too. Like if that's, I can design rings too.
His ring is actually, I'll send you a picture after. It's actually very nice, but he's not officially doctors aren't officially employees of the team. So he got because even us on our team, you'll have different tiers of ring, because
right, sure.
Obviously
Players,
everybody,
players, depth, yeah.
Like the hockey ops and players, and then there's the business people and all this. So
yeah.
So he got I guess the second tier or something, which is an outstanding ring. Like it doesn't diminish the ring, sure. And it's still worth a good chunk. Trust me. So he told me, like I said, oh, you got the real one. I said, no, I got the second one. He said, it kind of sucks. It's fine, but it kind of sucks. But so I guess mine will be bigger.
Yeah. You get a chance. You get a chance to, now that you're back, get a chance to see Tom Brady and the Bucks play.
He lives a few doors down from Ryan McDonough, who bought Vinny Lecavalier's old house. And he said, Max said that the first week he moved in, the number of cars that would drive in front, and he's on the water, Davis Island, which is just by the arena in Tampa. You can actually walk to the arena pretty much. the boats would come to his dock. Like he's got a cop car in front of his house. He's got a police boat in the water because people would come to his dock. Maybe not to see him, to see Giselle, maybe. But
yeah.
So he said they're doing well. They lost this weekend. He forgot he was on 4th down on that last play. And then they got Gronk. You know before this pandemic, like Julian introduced me. Julian talks with the GM of the Rays and the Bucks.
Sure.
The GM of the Rays, the Bucks actually lives 2 blocks from me. I see him sometimes when I run, so we chat. But I've been in contact every now and then with the assistant GM for the Bucks and the Rays. And the guy from the Bucks told me, like, because I called him how their draft went, virtual, and all this. We share notes. It's always interesting.
Sure, you have to. Sure.
But you can we talk, like, once this pandemic dies down a bit, like, he told me, come and spend the day with us at the Bucks, and I'll bring him to Tampa. It's actually interesting to see. And he said, it sucks to be, and that was before we started playing again. That was in April, May, and he goes, you guys are a contender. The Rays are a contender, and we should be a contender, but nobody can go to the damn games.
I know. Well, that's the crazy thing, especially football, too.
Well, they're going to have 20,000 people this weekend, I think, or 18,000, something like that, at Raymond James. And the Rays are doing great. They're up 2-0. I don't know if they're playing tonight, what the score is, but which is great. And it was the day we won the cup. I had a nice text from the assistant GM from the Rays. Congrats, we're behind you guys. And supposedly awesome. in their clubhouse, the guys were wearing the Lightning gears, like after games, watching the games. And Alex Killorn is friend with a few guys from the team because I don't know if you've seen the Doc Talk with Killer.
No.
That he did during the lockout. Like he drives around his Sea-Doos and he interviews guys. So yeah.
Oh, I saw. That's why he was doing it in the finals. That's why. Yeah. That's why he had the cup.
No, go on his Instagram. Actually, he did a video when we started again. The boys are back in town, like the Mighty Ducks. I'll send it to you after. It's actually great, and it went viral, and it's actually a great recruiting video because guys actually where they live in Davis Island, where Brady lives, they could take their Sea-Doos to the rink if they wanted to, because the rink is on the water. So it's pretty cool. So it's a great time to be a Tampa Bay fan, to be honest with you. So the city is fun, but I gotta say I think we're almost the most popular team in town.
Not to cheesy plug myself, but Dan Sagney, players ops for the Cleveland Browns, is on next week because hockey ops guy this week, football ops next week. You give me some Tampa football guys. Tell Brady, I can hang out with him and Giselle, no problem. I mean,
Alex Killorn has been trying to get him on his Doc Talk, on his Instagram thing he's done, and it hasn't worked yet.
It hasn't worked yet. By the way, Rays are down 1-0 versus the Astros right now. So
the Cheaters? I mean, the Astros?
Astros. So quickly, I took you for 48 minutes already. Took you from your car to your pool to your. So what's next? Like, what's next for you now? Like, you guys, you didn't have any days off yet. What's your daily grind now?
We came back. On the Tuesday, we had the Wednesday. We were in the office. Me and Julian, and then we had the parade, the boat parade, which was pretty cool, and the whole thing at Raymond James. There was stuff at the rink. We worked by the Saturday. Our Al Murray, who's our head of amateur scouting, Jamie Pusher, Stacey Roos, they all came in town. We prepared for the draft. We prepared for free agency / trades / everything that's going on. Look at our roster. They stayed for a week till this past Sunday. They left. So now we go in the office, in and out. I got a chance to work out again. And then, we're trying to get our plan going that we have. And like I said, I don't want to go into details of that because there's so many moving parts. But so now it's going to slow down a bit. And when this next season is going to start, not before January. There's talks about having 4 temporary bubbles that you go in and out. Divisions might be realigned. Who knows? Like, it's still up in the air. I'm very confident there'll be a season, if not almost sure. But how it's going to play out, how many games, when is it going to start? It's up in the air right now.
Hi, Hillary. By the way,
last time they won the cup in 2004, the next year was the lockout year.
Lockout
Season.
Yeah. So how do you prepare the group now, considering the future is unknown?
Same thing. Like, listen, we have our things to do to make sure that we're cap compliant and all this. It's not a secret. It's written everywhere, and it's just like, listen, we just finished 2 weeks ago. So the guys, actually, this morning I was at the rink. I saw a few guys go and work out.
What a different world, eh? What a different world now. Like,
Yeah.
2 weeks later, they're in the gym in COVID time. You know what? There's not a lot else they can do though.
No,
So,
and they went hard with the cup. Trust me. I don't know if you saw those pictures. Like,
yeah,
you
good
know,
for them though.
my boys, they came to the parade. You know, teenage boys are 17, 15. They love stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Boy, did what they served probably. Like the guy. I don't know if you saw Pat Maroon without his shirt
I saw
on.
the big rig. I'm the big rig, and I'm
back
back champ.
Big rig is awesome. And then Kucherov that kissed the owner on the stage, and Kucherov, his personality came out. So my boys thought it was awesome, you know, so that's why I'm happy for them, because I've told a story to a few people. When we moved last year, obviously it was a big move. They wanted to, they didn't want to. At the end, they didn't want to move, of course. When we moved, my mom dropped us off at the airport. So the kids, you know, obviously my mom cries, so the kids are a bit sad, but it's fine. They're in the airport in a great mood. You know, one of their buddies flew down with them for the move, and then we're on the plane. The plane goes on the tarmac, and it starts taking off, and my youngest puts his hoodie on his head, and I see tears falling down, you know, like it breaks your heart. You're like, you know, am I being selfish by doing this? And like to have them in the first year be able to live that, to me was like, I was crying on the ice, FaceTiming them. You know, like I wanted them to live, and what was great is I was gone for 2 months, but they were so into it. I mean, they're older, so they watched every game. They at home, they were texting during the game. My youngest keeps bitching at the refs the whole game. He's the typical fan that the refs always against us, so we're laughing. So for me, it was great because I know it was tough for them.
You should work in Montreal media then if he has that mentality. He's pretty good.
No, but you know, you have teenage kids too. Like it was tough for them. Like my son was going to graduate high school in Quebec last year. You know, and you know what sucked too is draft was in Montreal.
Yeah.
Sam was invited to his high school graduation, even if he didn't graduate. So we were going to go back for the graduation, stay for the draft, and all the shit went. And then we couldn't have that. So that's why I thought I was so pumped to see them be able to enjoy it. I got a picture of them with the cup over their heads. You're supposed to have to win it to lift it, but I guess they're my kids, so they were allowed to lift it. So
no, I think that's a load of. If you have a chance to touch it, lift it, do it.
Yeah. So it's to me that's what it was all worth it. You know, like I got lucky to win it in the first year, but it made it all worth it.
So Matt, we got a couple minutes left, and I'll just wrap it up this with a really important question. You know, your brother's a doctor, amazing NFL career, Super Bowl champ. You're a McGill grad, student athlete pretty much for the year. You're in CIS in your last year, amazing hockey career. I carried you on RDS, great hockey career, and now Stanley Cup champ. Who do you think your parents love more?
I'm better looking, so it has to be me. So you know what? When we signed up, out of McGill, he played a year with the Argos. Then he broke his leg. He was going to go back. He had a leave of absence from med school. He was halfway done his med school because he did his undergrad and he played 5 years at McGill. I'm going to go back to school. And we actually, when he signed with the Seahawks, I signed with Columbus. We signed on the exact same day, May 8th, my parents' wedding anniversary. My
That's
mom
crazy.
Teacher, so she's actually more proud that we both graduated from college. And then we went on to play. JP actually lost the Super Bowl as a player to the Steelers in 2006. And then, you know, like I didn't go back to school after. I was done my undergrad, and I don't know. He has more determination than me. To start back at 36, 4 years of med school was pretty amazing. So I guess, you know, it's always a balance. It was a balance between sports and school. Like you went to St. FX too. You did that route too. Like it's a smart way to do it, unless you're Alexis Lafreniere or Sidney Crosby. So,
sure.
You know, like we're proud of what we've done, and you know, like it's. My sister was actually a great swimmer too. She ended up with tendonitis in her shoulders when she was 16, but she was a great swimmer. But she stopped growing at 5'4". But when she was young, she was top. Like she was like national standards and all this. She lives in Toronto now. So, but I guess we all went to school. She's a teacher now in Toronto. So, I guess to be well-rounded. But all PJ, like all this doesn't happen. Like people think I'm full of it when I say that, but my wife graduated from McGill. She followed me 12 years of my career.
Yes.
Let me out to work, and now she followed me again. It doesn't happen if you don't have a supporting wife, you know. Actually, she wants it next season in a bubble. She's sick of having me home already.
Yeah, she's like, Matt, there's a bubble for 6 years.
Yeah.
Go back in it.
Go. I want the Stanley Cup bonus. That's it.
I don't want to keep you. I think you summed it up really great with, you know, cheers to your family. Like your family has a certain way of living that makes your family successful and makes people want to be around you, and those people around you and eventually become winners. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to your family. And my best, my man. Thanks.
Always a
And thanks
pleasure
for
with you, PJ. Anytime
Thanks,
you need
buddy.
something. But
Well,
I
let me
can't
know
give
if
you
you want
scoops
more
now.
answers. Let me know when you need more answers. And tell Julien I'm around. I'm around, Julien. I don't need a big pool. But
So I should call you after this to see who we should trade, right? To be cap compliant?
well, you've been texting me the entire time during the show, PJ. What do you think of this guy, Carey Price? And who's this guy, Sidney Crosby? I'll fill you in. I'll text you
Come on,
later.
everybody knows I don't like Carey Price. Come on.
Yeah. So story for
We have
another
a pretty
day.
good one down here, too.
So you're not doing that bad. Cheers, buddy. Thanks a ton for doing this.
Thanks for having
Best
me
to your
anytime,
family.
buddy.
Congrats to you, champ. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Bye, bud.